I know you're anxious to get your new guitar kit to where you can tune it and start playing it. But there's some things about putting one of these together that you need to know to make sure that it plays right when you do get it together. Not all kits are the same, and you really do have to pay attention to their instructions, but we can give you some pointers along the way that'll help you come out with a better looking, better playing guitar. Some kits have a fitted neck that are glued into place. The good news here is that these are usually fit at the factory. You can see the matching numbers here that tell us that these parts were fit, but we want to check the fit anyway. These parts should fit together bare without a lot of wiggling around. And one of the most important things is test fitting as much of the guitar as you can. Some people just drop parts in their places and make sure that all the screw holes line up and that there's clearance for everything. I like to do some measuring along the way to make sure I'm not building some problems into the guitar that are going to be hard to fix later. This guitar is going to have a painted body, so I put some primer on it before I started test fitting all of the pieces that go into it. If you're going to have conflicts between some of the parts, you want to find that now, not after you've got everything finished. With a few kits, you have to install things like the bridge and tailpiece, and these measurements have to be right on the money. I like to extend lines that show the edges of the fretboard down across the body. Then later when I'm laying out for the bridge or tailpiece, I can make sure that I've got it centered on the fretboard. The instructions will give you very specific measurements for the bridge and tailpieces, and those are measured from the nut. That's this part of the guitar where the strings go over before they go to the tuners. The ruler is always held against the face of the nut when we're taking these measurements. The threaded bushings for bridges and tailpieces are often driven in, and that can be a little disconcerting when you're working with the front end of a guitar like this. I make a little scrap so I can protect the wood from the guitar while I'm driving these bushings in place. But it still can be a little nerve-wracking until you get this done. And then when you finish the test fittings, you take the guitar all apart again so you can put finish on it. There are some brave souls that'll finish it first, but that's just not smart. And when it comes to finishing a guitar, virtually any woodworking finish will work on these things. This body's made of cheap wood, so I'm just going to prime it and paint it all one color. The better kits will have some pretty nice looking wood, like mahoganies and that, so you may want to use a more traditional woodworking finish like tung oil or something clear. The big majority of the time, we don't put any finish on the fretboards themselves. When the guitar is completed, it's good to keep the fretboards treated with like lemon oil, but for now we're going to leave it bare. I'm going to spray this neck with nitrocellulose lacquer, so I have to take my time covering the fretboard to make sure I get the tape down next to all of the frets. Because I'm using a clear finish on the neck, I'm going to go ahead and spray the edges of the fretboard as well, so I have to carefully mask just the top surface. To get a nice slick surface with the nitrocellulose lacquer, I sand it lightly and tack rag it between each coat, and there will be a bunch of coats. I built a guitar a little while ago where I put 15 light coats of nitrocellulose clear lacquer on the neck, and it came out really nice, real slick and easy to play. Another thing I like about the nitrocellulose lacquer is that the finish is good and hard when it's dry and we can buff it out. If you sanded and applied the lacquer right, it doesn't take much buffing to really wake this finish up. This kit had kind of ugly wood for the body, so I just painted it with red engine enamel and followed that with several coats of clear enamel. Now I know better than to try and buff enamel out, so I'm just going to use a little rubbing compound and shine this up. The body of a guitar isn't all that big, so this doesn't take very long, and you get a nice looking finish out of it. And this is the lemon oil that I use on my fretboards. You just rub it on, then use a clean rag to wipe off the excess, and that buffs it up a little bit. That's all you need, and it keeps the fretboard from cracking or drying out. Then with the finishing done, we can go ahead and start installing all the hardware to put our guitar together. You need to follow the instructions for the kit you're building to make sure that you're doing adjustments along the way that are necessary. Bolt-on necks are a lot easier to build, but you want to be careful that you get them good and tight without stripping these holes. The good news is that we're woodworkers, so if you do strip out the holes, we know how to fix it. But if the holes are drilled right, you don't need to tighten so far that you'd strip them out anyway. Nearly all of the electronics come pre-assembled on the chip plate in this guitar, but you do have to make a couple of connections with metal plugs, and you want to make sure that you isolate them so they can't ground out on some of the other components under the chip guard when you assemble that. And then you can go ahead and install the screws that hold the chip guard in. On some kits you have to install the pickups separately, but it all goes pretty much this way. And yes, now we can put some strings on this thing. And we can even tune it for the first time. Remember that new strings are going to stretch while you're playing, so you'll have to retune this guitar several times before the strings reach their final length. If your guitar has a tremolo like this one, you want to make sure that that's adjusted as well after you put the strings on and tension them for the first time. And then you get to plug it in and see what it sounds like.
Thank you.